I'm about to make a bold statement, but before I make that bold statement, there's a few things I want you to know. This COTA here is an electric car with just a tick over 4,000 miles on the odometer. And by the way, if you don't know what a COTA is, I've got a video about it here or somewhere. And I also own and relatively regularly use a Reliant Robin, a Trabant, and until the batteries died, a Wigo. Okay, now that you know those few things, it's time for the bold statement. This is the least reliable car I have ever owned. It just keeps breaking. First problem, this electric car overheats. Consistently. This car that was designed for California overheats in any weather above, say, 80 degrees.
Oh, what's that? It overheated? I'm shocked.
Now, I don't know if it's doing this because there's something wrong with one of the mini water pumps or coolant control valves in the car, or if the cooling system is just under capacity. I suspect it's the latter because it's not showing any sort of fault codes. However, the water pumps are known to fail, and maybe one of them has failed and the car isn't detecting anything. I don't know. Regardless, this is an electric car that overheats. Yay! I will say that it's not that big of a deal. All that happens when this thing overheats is the little coolant warning light comes on the dash. It will derate power a bit to sort of self-regulate the temperature, and then it'll cool down just enough for that coolant warning light to go off, and then everything goes back to normal. Of course, once it gets hot the first time, then it cycles back and forth. Overheat, cool down. Overheat, cool down. Which is annoying, but so far it doesn't seem like I'm in any danger of actually damaging anything. When that coolant warning light turns red, that's when I'll worry.
Oh look, it overheated again. Surprise, surprise. Oh, cooled down.
The first time this overheat thing happened to me, I wanted to go into the radio, into what COTA called the green screen, to gather a little bit more information. If you recall, the green screen is a little graphical display that's in the radio that shows various stats about the car. I didn't expect to garner any information about why the car was overheating, but I at least wanted to check the temperature of the battery. That's when I discovered the green screen stopped working too.
Maybe if I keep trying to go back to it, it'll suddenly work. Weird, it's not working.
If you recall from my COTA introduction video, the green screen is a video signal that's generated by a module elsewhere in the car and then piped into the head unit through the input for the backup camera. At some point last winter, when the temperature dropped below freezing, this green screen, i.e. that module, started behaving oddly. It didn't stop working entirely, it just started going fuzzy and flickery and just generally not behaving correctly. But I didn't think too much of it because after the temperature got back up past freezing again, it went back to normal. That was until I mentioned it to the guy I got this COTA from, the former engineer at COTA. He told me that when COTA was developing this car, they tested the battery pack and several of the components in this car in a saline chamber for water tightness and a freeze chamber for freeze tightness. And the module that creates the video signal for the green screen didn't survive the freeze testing. At first when he told me this, I thought, wow, COTA torture tested their car like a real car company? And then I thought about it for a little longer and realized, wait, if they had a component fail the testing and didn't do anything about it, what was the point of the testing? So yeah, my green screen stopped working. Don't know why. Maybe it's a loose wire. Maybe that whole module failed. I don't know. Now I just don't have a digital readout for my state of charge or my estimated range, which is a bit annoying. On a somewhat related note, my mostly useless eco meter here in the gauge cluster has never worked properly since I've had the car. I suspect it's something simple like a strip of plastic gear, especially considering the noise it's making, but it don't work right.
Well, it's not overheating anymore, but look how eco-friendly I'm being. Off the scales!
Speaking of things that have never worked for me, both rear windows roll down. Made a liar out of me. But they don't roll back up, is what I was supposed to say, but apparently they don't roll down either. Apparently the rear window regulators are made out of sugar. Up. Oh yes, good sounds. There we go. Now it's back up again. This door handle was broken, but in the video where I made this COTA roadworthy again, I fixed this door handle, so now it works. Now it's the door lock actuator that's broken. If I lock or unlock the door, that locking nubbin does nothing. It was twitching a little bit, but now it's not even doing that. This is a really small thing, but the sunglasses holder in all COTAs is broken, without question. Actually, I guess that's not strictly true, because the one in this car isn't broken. It's missing. The CV shaft on the right side is no good. There's a substantial vibration under acceleration and noise at the wheel, so it appears both the inner and outer CV joints of this half shaft are shot. Now, I'm not blaming the car for this one because the previous owner replaced this CV shaft before I picked up the car, and maybe he replaced it with a bad one from the factory, maybe he replaced it with a used CV shaft, I don't know. Whatever the case, it's bad and it needs to be replaced. Yay! In not one, but two previous videos, I replaced both front wheel bearings on this car. This is a car with just over 4,000 miles that's had both front wheel bearings replaced twice. And again, this is not the fault of the car. There was a spacer piece in the wheel bearings that was necessary and it was missing, and without it the wheel bearings went slack immediately and started eating themselves to death. But since then, I've replaced that spacer piece, the wheel bearings are sorted, and I won't have to worry about them for a long time. In the front. However, the rear wheel bearings, yes, and no, I'm not kidding, the right wheel bearing is going out now. These bearings must be made of glass. And this time, there's not something missing. It's just a bearing that's failing after a long, hard life of just 4,000 miles. And by the way, if you're wondering how I know that it's the right rear wheel bearing that's going out, well, take a listen. So, to sum up, here's all the things on this Coda that are either not working properly or broken entirely in no particular order. It overheats in anything above a room temperature. The green screen is not. It's black. The Eco Gauge thinks I should buy a Nissan Leaf. The rear windows move up and down extremely quickly. This door lock thinks you should be trapped in and out of the car. The wheel bearing in this wheel is a wolf. At least I think it is. It howls at me when I use it. The front right CV shaft has the demeanor of a nervous chihuahua. Ooh, pretty LEDs. And the sunglasses tray isn't. This Coda's in quite the state. Although to be fair to it, it just keeps working as a car. It's a bit hotter and hallier than it was before, but it keeps working and it's never left me stranded. Although now that I've said that, it's definitely going to, but as of yet, it hasn't left me stranded. So, what am I gonna do? Nothing. No, you know that's not true. I'm going to fix, or at least try to fix, every issue with this car that I mentioned in this video because I like this car. I want to keep it going and in as close to tip-top shape as I can manage. Besides, if I don't do it, who else is gonna? Remember, I got this car for free because no one else could be bothered with it. So there you have it. My Coda's broken and you've got a project video to look forward to. If you can look forward to a weirdo fixing window regulators in a car that no one's ever heard of or cares about. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. What is this channel?